Hey everyone, it's David here. This is the second, I guess, vlog about trying to animate the Rise of Hawk audio in Minecraft. Whether or not that's completely possible is another issue, but we'll just have some fun and have a go. So the first scene in Rise of Hawk is Asha, and she is standing across from the Star Mall. Now, it doesn't actually say in the text whether she's diagonal from the mall, like I am here, or across the road, like here. But in my head, it's always diagonal. So we'll just have a go. See where it leads us. It looks like it's sun up. Okay, so in the original, and in the first scene of Rise of Hawk, she walks across the road. These are the ochre cobbles. This isn't quite what I imagine, but it's as close as you can get in Minecraft. It's taken me several goes at trying to do it. And she walks through, looks around, and about here she tries to steal some nappies, and there's an agent, and she picks up a palm tree. This is the nearest to a palm tree that I could get. And she picks it up, kinetically throws it at an agent, and she runs like hell into the big department store. Now, for scale, this department store is about half what I imagine it to be in the books, but it's it would take up a decent chunk of the mall if I did it. This is my first attempt at having store clerks using villagers, and she zigzags around and does some cool ninja-y things, which there isn't much shelving, so I haven't got that far yet. And then after a bit of combat, she shoots up gets into the roof spaces, and I always hate this bit. There we go. Right up to the roof. Ooh. Looks around, and then she jumps over the road onto the roof, and I hate this set of stairs because you get dizzy going around and around and around. But it's the fire escape, and then the scene ends with her rushing through and heading off in a zigzagging direction, and that's the end of the scene. So if I just quickly, I'm flying technically, but I'm trying to fly low so you don't get too disoriented. So if we go back to the beginning, I can go through all of the problems that I've got to look at. Now, obviously, the actual level isn't complete. You know, like there's big gaps, for example. But at the moment, I'm just figuring out each problem per scene, trying to solve them, and then once and if I can solve them, I'll then record the scene as best I can in Minecraft, and then move on to the next scene with its problems, try and resolve it, and then record the next scene. I presume there will come a time where I'm going to, for example, the Rona, the scenes in the city of Kamo and Rona are going to take a lot longer to resolve because there is currently no Rona or Kamo on this level. But the first problem is that my old computer was too old. It didn't really have a graphics card. It was just a generic laptop graphics card. You know, I think it was at least 10 years old when it finally gave up the ghost. And so I originally put things on the shelves, and because it's kind of fun to use these frames. These are picture frames, and you can put objects in those picture frames and move them around and fiddle and stuff. And I had thought of using that as a way of decorating and saying, okay, this is a shop that sells pretty shiny, blocks. These are stone blocks, the decoration. But it's not as easy as it sounds, because there isn't a lot of things in real life that are also in Minecraft. Like a cafe. This is a cake, which is pretty cool. You can eat it. But you can't, like, oh, see, I just took a piece off. And you just slowly eat it till there's nothing left. You can't, like, take it off and take it to a chair. You can't even sit in the chairs. So there's a lot of sort of, you have to make stuff in Minecraft that looks like real life stuff, but not necessarily are functional like in real life. Like, these are not trees. This is a fence. Oh, I can't really see it. See, it's a fence. With some leaves on top of it. It's not actually a palm tree, and there are no kinetic abilities, to the best of my knowledge, in Minecraft, so we can't pick that up and throw it at someone. And then, of course, the next problem is agent. How do we do an agent for her to throw a palm tree at? Who knows? That's a problem I still have no ideas for. These are meant to be posters, but they're actually paintings. I just thought it would be cool to have decoration. See, there's another example of what I thought could be shelves. So you've got different products on the frames so that they're displayed. I don't know why someone would be selling arrows in TSU, but we can pretend maybe that's a gun shop, maybe. The next problem is, as you might have noticed, I've been trying to use villagers to be store clerks. The problem with this is to get a villager to have a different uniform. This is a uniform of a cleric, I think. Librarian. Anyway, you need books. These things are books. And you need this plinth thing. I'm still getting the hang of Minecraft careers for the villagers. But in order to get them in a uniform, see, each different profession has a box, a thing, a device that the villager uses for their job, and a uniform, what they wear as that career. Can't really see him. So they all have different uniforms and stuff. And while this works, and you can actually trade with them to buy stuff if you want, to be perfectly honest, it feels a bit like slavery, because what you have to do is give them somewhere to sleep. These are beds. You make them, so you use a spawn egg to make a villager be alive, and then they'll wander about looking for a brick that for an item that gives them a job, and then you've got to somehow trap them in here. See, they're trapped. It's glass, but they can't get out, even though you can trade with them. And so I know they're only digital. They're not real people. They don't have any feelings. They're just like little bits of coding. But it makes me feel guilty, because this is enslavement. It is definitely capture and enslavement of nice villagery people. The next problem is this store, once I get the shelving issue solved, because it's still not ideal, because there's only certain things like flower pots that you can actually put on a surface, like a shelf. I think it was one of these. Yeah, I thought of using bookshelves and then putting frames with products in them as shelves, but I'm still working on it. But the thing is, Asha's seen this store is not only filled with products and stuff, it's also filled with civilians. And the problem with villagers is if you don't lock them in, they wander about. Obnoxiously so, in fact. And so we can't have them milling about and just stay here. If I put them in here, they will wander about the rest, which is why that door at the back, both doors at the back, have blocks in front of them so that the villagers don't wander. Well, before they were locked in. And so Asha's supposed to go through this entryway, zigzagging around like customers, and then as she gets about halfway through the middle, an agent comes through the front door behind her and starts shooting guns and scattering the customers. So other than getting another player to like hide around the corner and put like a I don't know, a zombie to come inside and try and murder all of the villagers and somehow keep the villagers in this room, I'm not entirely sure how to do that part with the agent coming in and the civilians trying to run away. The next problem is between her turning around and seeing thing and running and zigzagging and stuff, and her going into the roof spaces, she's supposed to have combat with two agents using her abilities to flip sideways, and you can jump up and down, but you can't flip sideways. So she's got two different kinds of combat, including taking down a security guard before she gets to the roof spaces. So I don't know how to do the combat. But I have a few ideas, and I'll keep having a go, and I'll film any goes that are entertaining. Although my sense of what is entertaining is probably mildly dodgy, because I'm converting all of my roads from coal blocks to concrete blocks, because back when I started, the only black block there was coal blocks. And the thing about coal is it's flammable, so I block off a section of road and I light it on fire, and I sit there and I watch it and go, burn, baby, which is actually kind of dodgy with what's happening around in the world with, you know, lots of forestry fires, but I find it kind of entertaining. So we'll see what happens if I can figure out the kind of combat or an approximation of combat for that part of the sequence. The roof spaces are also a problem because even though I've described the mall as being 5-storied, which is what I made, the sequence sort of infers that it's only 1-storied. So I'm not entirely sure what to do. There are 5 levels. This is the secret storage room, which actually I think it's only got 1 door. Yeah, 1 door. And it's going... If I use villagers for the stores and stuff, they can have their beds in here. But the roof space isn't really a roof space, it's a ladder. And each of the floors are only 1 block wide. So there's no room for her to crawl, even though I can now actually crawl in Minecraft. This is the nearest to a roof space you've got. I think, is that button? Yeah. I think, no. There is a way of crawling, but I can't remember how to do it. Obviously, I have to take the wings, is it electrolyte? The thing that makes you fly off when we're filming. But she's supposed to crawl around in roof spaces, not crawl up ladders. So that's another problem I haven't quite figured out. The other thing is, in the description, she should actually come out of the roof kind of this way, which is why I've added another roof thingy. And she looks around to see where she can jump off. And the thing is, you can't actually see any of the other roofs. Over there is actually supposed to be like a skyscraper-y thing. I mean, I suppose I could make the this is a car parking lot on the other side of this, what used to be a rainbow glass ceiling. It's now just a couple of colours. This is a car parking building, so I suppose I could make that bigger. But you're supposed to be able to see from where she comes out of the thing, out of the roof. You'll be able to see that everything's either too tall or too short from here. So I haven't figured out whether I need to, add a few layers to the car parking building, or add a roof, a bigger, taller roof to my secret horse farm. Oh my, but ugly. What's that? Art gallery. The real life one that's based on isn't actually but ugly. It's just that the colours I had available were but ugly. And so she's sort of, the surrounding buildings don't quite match the description in the books. But at least the road is only 2 lanes, so it is a realistic kinetic push at her level of a kinetic. She's only like a 3, I think, level 3, so she's only she can lift a car with her mind. That's what a level 3 can do. That's the max sort of push. So she can push, she can jump and triple jump, if you're using gaming terms, onto this roof. And there is the problem of this, what's it called? Fire escape ladder. I don't know about you, but I get nauseous going around and around and around in this game. So I always cheat and just jump, which isn't what you do, because to the best of my knowledge, I have never written in the books that someone can jump off a building and use their kinetic ability to cushion their fall. Except, of course, Eagle, who can hover. Oops. And I've done these buildings. I'd already noticed that these would be a problem. So they're surrounded in abandoned warehouses, and this is an abandoned factory building. It's the last building I actually made. It's quite pretty, based on a real one. So I'm working on the actual street level stuff. But I think the biggest problem is in the mall. I don't know how to get the people, how to interact with people, how to do the combat. It's just a bit difficult. So it's combat, and obviously people running about, and the shelving are the main problems. But I'm very much the kind of person who sort of looks at a problem, goes away and does something else, and fiddles and writes and do this or do that, sit and think about it for a little while longer, and then go off and do something. I very much think about things for a long time, and then my brain goes, hey, what about this problem? This solution, sorry. And I'll go, well, how about this? We'll give it a go. And we have a go, and if it doesn't work, I go on to the next idea. I'm very much a just keep trying until it works kind of person. So we may keep the enslaved villages, as dodgy as that is, because there are, you can put fence, gates. Villages, as far as I know, unless they change the rules, can't go through gates. Gate. Gates look like this. So you close them and they can't get out, and you open them and they can get out. So I might just have to lock them in, and then I don't know, get a friend to help me launch a zombie or something, not a creeper, but a zombie or something similar, skeleton maybe, at the villagers, and watch them run about going ah, and see if that works. So that is the assessment of the current problems and the current possible solutions, and how much I've done. I mean, this took ages. It took a whole day to trap little buggers in there. Villagers are not cooperative creatures. So we'll see what happens. I'll just keep trying to figure out a problem and a solution. And when I do a trial run of this idea of locking them in and then releasing a zombie, I'll probably record the actual trial run and see what happens, so that you can see when things fail, and we'll just, I don't know, see what happens. At the very least, I mean, I can just make it as pretty as possible, get the shelving how I want it as much as possible, and then just go through the steps. If we can't do combat of any kind, which is quite likely, we can still do the recording of the actual of the viewpoint of the character. I just have to get used to driving from behind. The viewpoint of the character, without doing anything. So just walking about doing Usher things. I also have to figure out how to put a new face on my person. I haven't done it for a very long time. Driving is a little bit problematic, but we'll see what happens. So this is kind of fun and exciting, and I should probably totally stop now. So until next time, we shall see how far along I get with these problems.